Richard Goodall, the winner of America's Got Talent, is finally back here in Indiana tonight.
That's right. He started his day going back to work at the school where he first earned his fame as the singing janitor.
Richard Goodall has finally broken his silence about what truly happened. For years, fans have speculated about the events that shaped his life. But now he's ready to set the record straight. He opened up about his humble beginnings, where karaoke nights slowly turned into a full-blown career. But what's the shocking truth that's been hidden all along? We will reveal the real story behind his rise to fame that the show does not want anyone to know about. A glimpse that changed everything. As Richard scanned the crowd, his eyes landed on a woman he hadn't seen in years. She was someone who had deeply influenced his life, helping shape him into who he was today. Seeing her made him catch his breath, and for a moment, everything around him seemed to pause. This unexpected reunion was set to stir the emotions of anyone watching, as it showcased the lasting impact of old relationships and the chance for new beginnings. Before we delve into this, it's clear that her reappearance is far more significant than anyone could have predicted, and what she revealed to him that night will leave you speechless. Behind the scenes before the show, Richard felt a mix of nerves and excitement. The lights were bright and the place was packed. He'd performed many times before, but this evening felt different. There was a weight to this performance, as if it was more than just another gig. As he waited to go on, he reflected on how music had always been his escape and his comfort. It had seen him through tough times and happy ones, from heartaches to victories, and from new love to lost love. His start in music was humble, with karaoke sessions where he sang along to videos instead of just following lyrics on a screen. Without a band or musical partners, karaoke was his entry into the music world. It was this solitary start that eventually led him to sing gospel and later to build a career in music. As he stepped onto the stage, the audience erupted in applause. Richard smiled, his eyes moving over the crowd. At first, the bright lights blurred the faces, but as his eyes adjusted, he recognized many people who had supported him throughout his career. He felt grateful, remembering each face and the memories associated with them. But then, his gaze fixed on one person in the crowd, and suddenly it felt like everyone else faded away. He wasn't sure if he was seeing things correctly. There, in the middle of the audience, sat a woman from his past, someone who had been incredibly important to him long before he became famous. His heart raced. This woman had believed in him when no one else did, encouraging him to pursue his dreams when he felt like giving up. She had been there from the beginning, before all the success and public recognition. Now, seeing her again, all the old feelings and memories came rushing back. Richard's performance that night was more than just singing songs. It was a display of his life story, marked by his struggles, his achievements, and the relationships that helped define him. This unexpected meeting added a layer of emotion to the evening, reminding him and everyone else of the power of past influences and the unpredictability of life. As he sang, Richard poured his heart into every note. The audience could feel the significance of the moment, understanding that this was not just a routine performance, but a meaningful display of a man revisiting his past and celebrating his present. The connection between Richard and the woman in the audience was palpable, and it transformed the show into something memorable, a night of emotional depth and personal revelation. This reunion, happening in the midst of a routine concert, highlighted how life can surprise us, bringing people back into our orbits when we least expect it. For Richard, the night was a testament to the enduring impact of those we meet along the way, and how old bonds, once thought to be in the past, can emerge again, bringing with them a flood of emotions and the possibility of new chapters in our lives. By the end of the show, Richard knew this performance was one he'd never forget. It was not just about the music or the applause, but about the faces in the crowd, the path he had taken, and the people who had been part of his story. This evening proved that no matter how far we come, our past is always a part of us, capable of resurfacing in profound and life-changing ways. Richard had no idea that seeing her again would bring back so many old memories. When love fades away, Sarah had once been the center of Richard's world. They first met when they were young, each chasing their own dreams. She was an incredibly gifted painter, and they quickly bonded over their love for all things creative. They spent countless nights just talking about what the future might hold for them, dreaming together about what was to come. Sarah always believed in Richard, even during times when he doubted himself. As time went on, though, life took them in different directions. Richard's music career started to take off, bringing with it the pressures that come with fame. He got busier and more involved in his work, and despite their best efforts, the distance between them grew. Eventually, they each went their own way, chasing their dreams separately. Years passed, and Richard often found himself wondering where Sarah ended up. He would hear bits and pieces about her life through friends they still shared, but their lives had clearly moved on from one another. He never thought he'd see her again, especially not at one of his concerts. Yet there she was. Seeing her again stirred up a whirlwind of emotions in him. She looked much as he remembered, though now there seemed to be a hint of age and wisdom about her. She watched him with a look that might have been pride, or maybe it was something more. In that moment, everything else faded away. The crowd, the lights, the stage. All he could see was Sarah, and all the memories they shared filled his mind. He remembered their late-night talks, the kisses they stole when they thought no one was looking, and the promises they made to each other. He remembered how she used to look at him, her eyes full of belief that kept him going through tough times. Now, as he stood there with the microphone in his hand, his heart raced. He was supposed to start the show, but he couldn't tear his eyes away from her. He felt a tightness in his throat. This performance was going to be different. It was more than just a concert now. It was a moment of reconnection, laden with all the emotions of their past. On a different note, in a touching turn of events, a fan's final moments became a story of human connection and compassion. The fan, who had always loved the entertainment industry, particularly Simon Cowell's television shows, was saying goodbye to their loved ones in the world. Despite battling a serious illness, they had found joy and comfort in watching Simon on TV, whether on Britain's Got Talent or The X Factor. Their love for Simon's work was well known, and as their final days approached, something remarkable happened. Simon Cowell, alongside Richard Goodall, decided to visit this fan. This wasn't just a visit, it turned into a powerful moment of kindness and connection that touched everyone involved. Simon and Richard's presence wasn't about drawing attention, it was about bringing comfort and a bit of joy in a tough time. Their visit showed how powerful empathy and human connections can be, especially when people need it the most. This act of kindness didn't just help the fan, it left a lasting impact on everyone who heard the story, highlighting the importance of recognizing and appreciating every person in your life, no matter the circumstances. Both of these moments, Richard's unexpected reunion with Sarah and the compassionate visit to a dying fan, underscore a simple truth about human connections. Whether rekindling an old flame or comforting a stranger in their last moments, these interactions hold a profound power to affect lives deeply, reminding us of the past and providing comfort in the present. Such events teach us that sometimes the simplest acts of kindness and recognition can be the most impactful. As Sarah came back into Richard's life, someone else showed up to make an even bigger impact. A final farewell full of kindness. This moment was a clear act of kindness and care, showing a side of Simon Cowell that most people don't get to see. Known for his blunt attitude on TV, Cowell surprised everyone by showing compassion. He wasn't alone in this heartfelt visit. Richard Goodall, a man whose name is not as well known, but just as important in this story, joined him. Goodall was already familiar to the fan they were visiting. He was known for his work in the community and for bringing happiness to others through music. He had also been a source of comfort for the fan, so it made sense for him to be there with Cowell. Goodall had built a reputation for being kind and able to connect with people on a deep emotional level. That made him a perfect partner for this visit. Together, Cowell and Goodall were an unexpected but powerful team. Their presence would make a lasting impression, not just on the fan, but also on their family and friends. The visit itself was truly moving. When Simon Cowell and Richard Goodall entered the fan's room, the mood changed. There was a mix of feelings, anticipation, happiness, and a deep sense of gratitude. The fan, who had once thought their final goodbye would be a quiet, sad moment, was suddenly in the company of two people who represented more than just fame. They stood for compassion, care, and a real connection with others. Cowell, who is usually known for his tough comments and no-nonsense approach, showed a completely different side of himself. He sat by the fan, listened carefully as they shared stories of how much his shows had meant to them over the years, and offered kind words. He spoke gently and with real warmth. It was clear that Cowell wasn't there as the TV star people usually see. He was there as someone who cared deeply about making this fan's final moments meaningful and happy. Richard Goodall, on the other hand, brought his own special energy to the room. Known for his uplifting nature and musical talent, he sang for the fan. His songs were soothing and filled the room with peace. He chose songs that were full of love and hope, helping the fan relax and find comfort. Goodall's music had always been healing for many people, and in this case, it was the perfect soundtrack for such an emotional farewell. As the visit went on, it became clear that this wasn't just a typical celebrity appearance. It was something much more meaningful, a genuine human connection. Cowell and Goodall's presence brought a sense of closure, not only for the fan, but also for their family. The room, which had once been filled with the sadness of knowing the end was near, was now full of laughter, conversation, and music. There were tears, but not just tears of sadness. There was also deep gratitude for the time spent together. The fan, who had once feared that their final goodbye would be lonely and sad, now felt peace and joy. They had been visited by two people who had touched their life in different but equally important ways. Cowell and Goodall's visit gave them a gift that couldn't be measured, a real connection, a reminder that even in the hardest times, kindness and compassion can make a huge difference. In the days after the visit, the story spread and touched the hearts of many. It showed how celebrities and public figures can have a real impact when they use their platform for good. Simon Cowell, often seen as tough and strict, showed that underneath it all, he has a heart full of kindness and empathy. Richard Goodall, too, showed how powerful music and human connection can be when offering comfort to someone in need. For the fans' family, the visit was something they would always treasure. In their grief, they found comfort in knowing that their loved ones' final moments were filled with joy, laughter, and the presence of people who cared deeply. It was a reminder that even in the face of death, there can be beauty in the connections we share and in the small acts of kindness that make a difference. The visit touched many hearts, but no one expected how much Simon Cowell's kind act would change the way people saw him. Simon Cowell's visit leaves a mark. This story also resonated with the public, who were moved by the compassion shown by both Cowell and Goodall. It was a powerful reminder that no matter how famous or successful someone is, we all have the ability to make a difference in someone else's life through simple, kind gestures. The visit wasn't about fame or getting attention. It was about honoring a fan's final wish and bringing comfort during one of life's most difficult moments. In the end, the fans' final goodbye was more than just a farewell. It was a celebration of life, love, and the connections that make us human. The visit from Simon Cowell and Richard Goodall turned what could have been a sad moment into one filled with hope and joy. It left a lasting memory of kindness that will be remembered for years to come. Darcy Lynn, a young girl, became a big hit on America's Got Talent because of her unique skill, ventriloquism. She could sing and talk through her dolls without moving her lips, which wowed everyone who watched her. But there's much more to her story than just her talent show appearances. Behind her performances is a long history of hard work, challenges she had to overcome, and important influences that helped shape who she is today. From the moment she stepped onto the America's Got Talent stage, Darcy was already a standout, not just for her act, but for the immense effort and love she put into her craft. Long before she became known to the world, she was perfecting a skill that would later make her famous. Ventriloquism isn't something many people can do. It takes a lot of practice. Darcy chose this path because she loved it and was ready to put in all the hours needed to get better. It's not just about having a talent. It's about spending countless hours improving that talent, connecting with people who watch you, and keeping true to who you are no matter how far you go. Her adventure into ventriloquism started when she watched a ventriloquist perform. Unlike other kids who might watch and then forget, Darcy got hooked. She decided she wanted to learn how to do it too. Ventriloquism is complex and requires you to talk in a way that makes your voice come from somewhere else while keeping your mouth still. This needs sharp focus and good control over your voice and body. Darcy spent many hours in front of a mirror practicing until she could talk without her lips moving. But learning to throw her voice was just one part of the challenge. Darcy also had to make sure her performances were funny and had personality. Ventriloquism isn't just about making a puppet talk, it's about making the puppet feel real and interesting. This meant Darcy needed to develop a good sense of timing for jokes, be able to tell stories well, and improvise when needed. She watched other ventriloquists, studied what they did, and then adjusted their methods to develop her own style. A big part of Darcy's success was her decision to mix singing with ventriloquism. Mixing singing into a ventriloquism act isn't very common, and it helped her stand out. Her dolls weren't just funny, they could sing beautifully, just like her. Darcy knew that her singing voice, along with her puppet skills, would give her an edge. She made sure each puppet had its own voice and personality, which made her shows more interesting and lively. Offstage, she worked tirelessly. She didn't just rely on her natural talent. She practiced daily, worked on new routines, and kept her puppet characters fresh and unique. As Darcy prepared for her America's Got Talent audition, she knew this was a big chance for her. She had performed in local shows, but this was a national audience. She knew she had to grab everyone's attention right away. She carefully chose her song, planned her puppet's character, and even thought about how she would act on stage. She knew making a strong first impression was crucial. When the time came for her audition, despite feeling nervous, Darcy was ready. As soon as she started her act, the magic of her performance shone through. Her ventriloquism was perfect, and her puppet's character and singing instantly captured the audience and judges. It wasn't just her skill that impressed everyone, it was her ability to connect with the audience, making them laugh and enjoy the show. She received a standing ovation and the Golden Buzzer, which sent her straight to the live rounds. But getting the Golden Buzzer didn't mean Darcy could relax. She knew the next stages of the competition would be tougher. She faced them with the same determination and work ethic that had brought her this far. Is Richard Goodall's story the full truth, or is there something deeper he's still holding back? Tell us what you think, and don't forget to like and subscribe for more.